Hello and welcome back. In our previous video, we explored what do we mean by asserts. We implemented our own version of an assert function and then we switched to standard libraries assert macro. We no longer need to implement such macros ourselves. We can always bank on the asserts provided by the standard libraries. We also noted that assert is a mechanism which is available in all other programming languages as well. It's not something specific to C language. Okay. And at the same time, we noted some disadvantage with the developer experience that we were having there. We had to compile the main file every time we made changes in it, and then we had to execute the output to see which tests are passing or failing, right? So we wanted to automate that as well. Let's do that in this video. Let's dive into Visual Studio Code, and here we are. Okay, so I have listed the necessary instructions for that in a markdown file. If you do not know markdown file, please go and explore. It will have extension called as .md. Very useful file format. Most of the programmers prefer this. If you go to any GitHub repositories, the README files will be in this format, for example. Okay, coming back to the instructions. So we need Node.js JavaScript runtime environment. So don't worry if you do not know about it, just go to this link which I have provided in this markdown file. And then you need to run this command, which will install a special tool called as Chokidar CLI, right? Chokidar. This tool will be installed. Once that is installed, we can actually start using that tool. We can invoke that tool. It's a command line tool. I need to pass the arguments. Here we are saying that we want to monitor all C files in the current folder. And then whenever a change is detected in any of the C files, we want this command to be executed. CC, I am using Clang compiler, isn't it? C compiler. So it is going to compile and link all the C files and produce an output executable for us. And we are going to run that executable. Right? That's what we want this Chokidar to do whenever it detects the changes. So this setup is a universal setup. It is going to work in Linux, Windows, as well as in Mac OS X. Right? Cool. So now I think we need to go ahead and explore this a little bit. Okay. See it in action. What does this tool do for us? Okay. So as we mentioned, I have already installed the Node.js by following this link, right, and the instructions there. And then I have also run this command already. So Chokidar is already installed in my machine. Now what I do is I invoke this command in my terminal. Let me invoke that. Right. So what is it saying is I am watching all your C files. For any change that happens, I am going to execute this compiler. CC all C files. It will compile and link and produce an executable and run that. Okay. Now, interestingly, it is not running this right away. Only if it detects some changes in any of the C files, it is going to run that. Okay. So if I go to C file, all that I have to do is simply say save, right? So I say save. Immediately what it does is it detects that change because some file is getting saved, right? So that is when it detects a change. That is how it detects change. So simply if you make a modification, it will not detect that change. It detects the change whenever you save a particular file. So we saved this main file. We didn't do any modifications, but we saved. That suffices. Chokidar will figure that out, right? So it will sense that something got changed, right? Doesn't care whether you really changed something, but all that it looks is whether the modification date changed for that particular file. So immediately it starts compiling each and every file, but looks like there is an error in prime.test.c. Don't worry, I know now we have a lot of files here. Earlier we had only one file. I'm going to talk about that, okay? But right now our focus is solely on the utility of this Chokidar tool, okay? So, of course, there is a error there. It is saying that the assert function that you have used inside this file is not, it's not something is understood to the compiler. The reason is we have not included necessary header, right? So linker fails to link that, isn't it? So let's do that, and let's help including this assert.h, and all that we have to do is save. See, I made some changes, but Chokidar is still not aware of those changes. It will come to know about these changes only when I save this file. Okay, let me do that. The moment I save it, what is it doing? So it is happy about this file, and it proceeds and runs the executable. Okay, and as usual, our one of our assertion is failing. So that is something we will look into in our next video. We will explore what are these files, why we have created so many files, what do they do. All that we will cover in our next video. Stay tuned. Thank you.